Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Hopefully you've been having a good week. My week, fantastic. And you might be like, Aaron, why was it fantastic? And it's mostly because of the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets that I made. I mentioned that in the last video that I was gonna make them, and they were amazing. Blown away. Me and deep frying are not, close friends, but now it's warming up to me. I was surprised with how successful it was. Because I usually deep frying doesn't really work for me. So definitely gonna have to do that in the upcoming video of showing you the fake Chick-fil-A. Also, a thing I mentioned in the last video, I've discovered a loophole, I think. You can let me know if you think it's legit. But I mentioned, running out of shirts, and a lot of my shirts that aren't like super branded are tie-dye. And I was like, well, I don't want to just wear a tie-dye shirt in every video. But if I film on Tuesdays, by law, I have to wear a tie-dye shirt because it's tie-dye Tuesday. And so here we are filming on a Tuesday, being a law-abiding citizen. It will cause an issue with Taco Tuesday because I'll be cooking something every week that most likely won't be tacos because we've already done that. So that's a bit of an issue. Maybe I can meal prep tacos and then just like have them before I film. Or Taco Thursday, is that a thing? Are we allowed to do Taco Thursdays? I mean, you're allowed to do taco any day, but I feel like the sentiment, you have to have that alliteration. And I mean, it does count with Thursday, but like it just doesn't feel like Taco Tuesday. Yes, Taco Thursday, you're like, I don't know what that is. But all of that, hopefully you've had a good week. Hopefully you've been making some good food. Whether or not it's something that I told you to make, we can excuse. As long as it's good, I'm happy. So let's get into cooking. So you're probably like, Aaron, what are we making today? And to that I say, Kielbasa and Lentil Soup. And I struggle with the name because it has fennel in it, and that just sticks in my head. And I always want to call it Kielbasa and Fennel Soup or Lentil and Fennel Soup. And I don't know why. But as much as the fennel sticks in my head, a very important ingredient to this doesn't, which is basil, and I forgot that. So I'm going to use parsley instead, because that's the exact same thing. It's not. But in the comments I saw somebody say that they use cilantro instead of the basil and that it was good. So I'm like, I'm sure that parsley will do just fine. So I'm gonna try that, as well as another comment that I saw because I was just doing a ton of reading today. Another comment said, because it uses 4.5 cups of water as make the soup base. And they say to use I just used broth instead, and it was really good. And I have some leftover chicken broth as well as some vegetable broth because I'm gonna make a vegetable soup later this week. And I'm making a lot of soup this week. Maybe I'm gonna be sick or something, and I'm just my body knows that it's gonna happen, and it's prepping. But I'm going to put those broths in, so just kind of whatever is left of the chicken broth, and then 2 cups of the vegetable broth is the most that I can use there because I need the rest for the other recipe. And then make up the difference with water. So those are kind of the 2 big things I'm gonna change, which granted, I haven't tried either of those before. I'm assuming that it's still gonna be good, but I'm sure that there'll be a text someplace telling you how it turned out, because me speaking is in the past, and then the text is the future, because the text is me having already eaten this probably 4 or 5 times. So it knows all, whereas I don't. But also it's in the past of when you're watching it, so it's not it's time, space, continuum, it's wibbly wobbly, don't worry about it. But, so I'll kind of leave you a little tips on do what I'm doing or don't do what I'm doing and just follow the recipe, because the recipe is good. I've had the recipe straight up before, delicious. And you could also make this recipe pretty easily vegetarian for sure, or vegan also, because it's pretty much just take out the kielbasa. For vegan, it'll be the kielbasa and the Greek yogurt at the end, and then for vegetarian, it'll just be from like the base recipe, not from what I'm doing. It'll just be the kielbasa, and then it's vegetarian, right? Yeah, because there's no other meat. So this recipe could kind of serve anybody if you just swap out 2 ingredients. Speaking of ingredients, how about I just show them to you, and then you will probably know what you can and can't have based on your dietary needs. So let's just get into that. Lentils, kielbasa, fennel, celery, onions, garlic, salt, tomato paste, red pepper flakes, parsley, broth, Greek yogurt. Time to read the recipe and make a game plan. My game plan for this recipe is, this recipe is actually written very clearly, easily. I don't know what the word to describe it is, but it has like what to do, and then also has like little clips of how to do it, and very easy to follow. So I'm pretty much gonna follow it. Usually, like in like I'll like change up the order, but somebody did their work. They did their homework, know what they're doing. So first up is to cut like all the vegetables, which they have some fancy name that they call it. So cut the vegetables, then cut the kielbasa, cook the kielbasa, add the vegetables in, then add the tomato paste, and then you have to, obviously in between all these steps, you're doing some cooking. And then after the tomato paste has been added and kind of mixed in, then add in my case it's gonna be broth and lentils. And then you gotta get it to a simmer, and then let it cook covered for, I think they wrote 20 to 45 minutes, which is pretty vague, but I'm just gonna do it because the bag that I'm using it's 3 different types of lentil, and the bag just says cook for 20 minutes, so I'm just gonna cook it for 20 minutes and hope that that's good. And then after it's finished cooking, you mix in my case it's gonna be parsley, but the recipe will say basil, and then you put in a bowl and put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and like the Greek yogurt on top, and enjoy. So I think that's all the steps. That's my plan, and obviously you're not going to see me execute said plan, but yeah, it sounds like a lot of steps, but it's a single pot recipe. Just gonna throw it all in there, stir it up, wait a little bit, throw some more in there, stir it up, rinse and repeat. So like I just said in the game plan, first step is going to be cut all the vegetables, which that's the fennel, onions, the celery, and the garlic, and then just put them in a bowl. Now that you have all the vegetables cut up, next step will be to cut the kielbasa. And I like to do it in like half moon, I guess is the shape, half circle. Instead of the full circle, it just makes it kind of more bite size. Up next is cook the kielbasa that you just cut. And you can approach this in a very meticulous way and lay them all out, make sure that one side's being cooked, then flip them, and then make sure that side's being cooked. You might have to do multiple batches if you don't have like a huge pan, or you can do my approach, which is just throw it all in there and then just stir it every few minutes and just kind of eyeball, be like, oh, that one hasn't flipped every time that I've stirred, let me make sure that I flip that over. And if there's, you know, a lot that you see that aren't getting like crispy and goldeny brown, then just flip that kind of manually. So it's I guess like cooking by like, is it chaos theory? Where you just mix it up and be like, let's see what happens. Any mathematicians out there, I'm assuming that, I think that's the field that chaos theory would fall under. Is that the correct use of it? You tell me. But, so that's what you're about to see, is that approach. So you can learn from what I'm about to do if it doesn't seem successful, and then go the other way. Or take the fun road and live life on the edge in your kitchen while cooking. It's time to cook. All right, now that the kielbasa is all cooked up, time to add the veggies in there. All right, now that the vegetables are all kind of loosey-goosey, they're tender, I think is the way that the recipe describes it, but cooked. Once the vegetables are cooked, now we add the tomato paste in. All right, now that the tomato paste has cooked with all the other stuff, which you might have noticed, I did not measure. I just eyeballed it because I didn't really have a use for tomato paste and anything else, so I'm like, we'll just put a little extra in there. Hopefully it's extra. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was more than 2 tablespoons, but I don't know. I'm not great at eyeballing things. Now next is to add the broth or water, you know, whatever you're deciding on. A liquid of some sort. You know, go crazy. Put a soda in there. See what, no, don't. Please don't do that. I mean, you can, and then please tell me, but I'm not recommending that you do that. So broth and lentils are going in. Now that pretty much the gang's all here, let it simmer and cover for 20 minutes, and then we'll check on it to make sure that it's all good. Now that it's cooked for 20 minutes, up next is to add the parsley. Alright, so here is the that's not gonna work. It's a liquid, and if I try and tip it for you, maybe if I do it further away, you can kinda see it. We're gonna have to just, I'm gonna have to take a picture of that, and I'll post it on the Instagram. I mean, it's also probably gonna be the thumbnail, so don't worry, you're not gonna miss it, whatever direction you're coming at this from. Also, I mean, you saw the pot when I opened it up. Essentially just think of that, but smaller, with a little bit of yogurt on top. That's what we got going on there. Now you know how to make it for yourself. You can try up the variations that I kind of talked about, either follow the recipe strictly, or, you know, you can even try the cilantro version that I just saw a comment of. I haven't tried that. It could be delicious. Or make it vegetarian, make it vegan. Do all of those things and let me know, because I mean, I enjoy hearing about people cooking in general, but it's like next level when people talk about cooking that I kind of push them towards. It's warm fuzzies inside. But I'm sure that what you're more waiting on is what the score for this delicious dish is going to be. Drum roll. There's not going to be a drum roll. I don't know how to edit that in. Maybe I'll try, but I'm not sure. So the score, 5 out of 5. We've had it. We've done a 5 out of 5. I'm pretty sure that most of these videos are probably gonna be 5 out of 5s because I'm choosing them, and I want to make food that I like. So it's gonna be, unless I have like a necessity to cook something like quickly, like the last video, I'm probably leaning towards the 5 out of 5s. Now, that's just because I'm influencing what I do. If you have suggestions, let's be like, Aaron, I think you should make this, let me know, and then I can try those. I mean, granted, I'm still deciding, so I will probably pick and choose and be like, that sounds more appealing to me. But I do like finding new recipes, so if you have some good ones that you think I should try, send them my way. And at some point, I kind of want to I have this idea of making like a recipe, not live, but like for the first time within the video, and then you can kind of see me struggle through that. Where it's like, so I'll find some recipe and then I'll obviously go buy the ingredients, and then I'll just try and make it for the first time and see what happens. It'll probably end in disaster, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining. So that, I mean, probably far down the line, but at some point, it's probably gonna happen. I'm gonna go eat dinner because I'm hungry, and hopefully you have a good week and make some delicious food. Bye, Mom. Still not dead. See ya. All right, so so some of you guys have been asking me to juggle more things, and I figured I have a handful of things here that are kind of juggled shaped, if that's a term. So I'm gonna give it a go, and hopefully you enjoy. Up first, celery. You got like the baton things that like spin, or I don't even know what they're called, but those are weighted and these have no weight. So we're gonna see if they even spin and give it a try. Oh, nope, hold on. That's terrible. Oh, got it. All right. Now, in my head, this seems like it'll be harder than the celery, but the fennel and 2 onions, because this, I want to try and keep this straight up. So we'll see if that actually works. It's not going to. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, that's good. I think that counts. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That's all I got for you. I can try and juggle tiny little lentils. I'm not going to. I think that's enough juggling for today.